In the world of American coins, one of the most pieces among collectors and history enthusiasts is the United States quarter dollar from the year 1965. This coin stands at an interesting point in history because it marks the very first year when the U.S. Mint changed the metal composition of quarters. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, but due to rising silver prices and heavy demand for coins, the government decided to remove silver and introduce a new composition. So, starting in 1965, quarters were struck in what we call a clad composition, which is basically an inner core of pure copper and an outer layer made of a copper-nickel alloy. This change was very important because it ended the era of circulating silver quarters in the United States. The 1965 quarter dollar has no mint mark, and that is correct for all quarters of that year because the mint deliberately removed mint marks between 1965 and 1967 to discourage coin hoarding during the nationwide coin shortage of the mid-1960s. Now, let's talk about the design. On the obverse, or the front side, we see the familiar portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. This portrait was originally designed by John Flanagan back in 1932 when the Washington Quarter was first introduced. The word liberty appears at the top, "In God We Trust" is inscribed on the left side, and the date 1965 is at the bottom. On the reverse side, the design shows a majestic bald eagle with its wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing both strength and peace. This design remained in place until 1998, when the state quarters program began. Because the 1965 quarter was produced in very large numbers, the mintage is huge. More than 1.8 billion quarters were struck in that year, which means that this coin is not rare in general circulation. Almost everyone in the United States has handled one at some point without realizing its significance. Collectors, however, pay special attention to condition. A coin in average circulated condition, meaning it has wear and tear from being used in everyday transactions, is worth basically its face value of 25 cents. In today's market, most circulated examples do not carry any premium because of their abundance. However, when you move to higher grades, things start to change. Uncirculated coins, which are those that have never been used and still have their original mint luster, can sell for more. In the current coin market, a typical uncirculated 1965 quarter might bring anywhere from $1 to $5, depending on the sharpness of the strike, the luster, and the absence of scratches or contact marks. Coins that are certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC and achieve a very high grade, such as MS65 or MS66, can fetch prices in the range of $20 to $50. Extremely high-grade examples, especially those in MS67 or better, can even sell for a few $100s because of the difficulty in finding such well-preserved coins from such a heavily circulated issue. Another interesting factor is error coins. Collectors love errors, and some 1965 quarters were struck on leftover silver planchets that were meant for the 1964 quarters. If you happen to come across a 1965 quarter that turns out to be silver instead of clad, then you have something extremely valuable on your hands. Such pieces have been sold at auctions for thousands of dollars. Other errors, like double strikes, off-center strikes, or die clashes, can also add significant value. So, if you have a 1965 quarter dollar without a mint mark, and it is in average condition, its value is essentially 25 cents in everyday circulation. But if it is in brilliant uncirculated condition or a certified high grade, then its market value in 2025 can be between $10 and $50, sometimes even more if the coin is spectacular. And if it is a rare silver transitional error, then it becomes a true treasure worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The story of the 1965 quarter is not only about money value, but also about history. It represents a turning point in U.S. coinage, when silver was removed from circulation and a new era of clad coins began. That's why coin collectors and historians alike find this year fascinating. The next time you see a 1965 quarter, remember that it is more than just 25 cents. It is a piece of American history, a reminder of economic change, and potentially a collectible that could surprise you with its hidden value.